Hey guys, it's Lotus and welcome back to another video. Today, I want to talk about this K-drama that I just finished binge watching. It's called The Devil Judge. I think it's absolutely amazing and really highly underrated. So I want to talk about it and I hope that I convince you guys to try checking it out. Yeah. So, like I said, it's called The Devil Judge. It came out back in 2021, last year. It has 16 episodes and aired from July 3rd to August 22nd. So about like half a year ago or so. Not too long ago. And let me get into the summary and then we're gonna just talk about it. Yeah, I have my pros and my cons, which aren't many because, as I said, this is an amazing show. But yeah, okay, so here is the plot summary. It says, during a time of chaos, a judge turns the court into something like a reality show and punishes evil people mercilessly. Kang Yo-han is a judge. He has an aristocratic appearance and elegant taste. He punishes corrupt and greedy men with power. Kang Yo-han has a secret. Jung Sana is an executive director of the Social Responsibility Foundation. She is smart and beautiful. She is also Kang Yo-han's enemy. Jung Sana is involved with important people from various social circles like politics and economics. She has the power to control the country by using her relationships. Kim Ga-eun is a rookie judge. He has experienced difficult times since his parents died when he was a child, but he was able to become a judge after expending great effort. And Yoon Soo-hyun is a detective. She is Kim Ga-eun's longtime friend and she chases after Kang Yo-han's secret. So there are four main people that this summary focuses on. And that summary just kind of explains who they are. But let me give you a quick explanation as to the plot. So this takes place in a semi-dystopian Korea, not dystopian as in there's lack of resources or there's a drought or anything like that, but that just the amount of crime that's happening is a lot higher. There's a lot of discontent and unrest in the country. There's constantly rioting and a lot of poor people, like the poverty is like skyrocketing, and everyone just has a lot of discontent with the government. It's really, really bad, like dystopian bad. And so the government, the people in charge, decide to try to gain the public's trust by creating a live court show. Which means that they would have a judge. In this case, Kang Yo-han would be a judge on this live court show, and he would try criminals on live TV. And all of the people watching, all of the regular citizens of Korea would get to be the jurors. So there's nothing like jury selection or jury duty. Everyone is a juror. They use this app called the DIKE app, the Dike app, which live streams the court show. And there is an option, there are two buttons. There's a guilty and not guilty button. And after watching the proceedings, everyone using the app can press guilty or not guilty. And that decides the verdict of the case. And then Kang Yo-han would take, and the results are tabulated on live television, and you can see the percentage of people who think the criminal is guilty or not guilty. So it's all seen in real time. And then after they decide if they're guilty or not, Kang Yo-han will I guess hand down the appropriate punishment or sentence for the criminal. So, who is Kang Yo-han? He is a mystery, guys. He worked his way up the ranks in the last 10 years. Before that, he was just a regular judge, and somehow he made it possible to worm his way up through the aristocracy, hanging out with all these rich people, the people that are actually kind of funding the government, those elites who actually don't care about the public and only want to do things that will benefit them. Money, of course, right? So Kang Yo-han is pretending to be a friend of the rich, when in actuality, he wants to take them down himself, using the platform that they put him in. Yes, as he gets more popular on this live court show, he has intentions of actually trying these rich people who put him in power. And by using the popularity that he gains from the public, he actually has a chance. So it's a really interesting concept. I've never seen this type of concept before. Yeah. And then while Kang Yo-han is trying to enact his own justice for both personal and for mainly personal reasons, there's a personal reason as to why he's doing this and why he hates the rich so much. We have Jung Sana, who is the executive director of the Social Responsibility Foundation. This foundation funds a lot of the government's activities. Yes, they do a lot of donations, and they act as a welfare foundation that's supposed to help the poor. They're supposed to donate and do food drives and seminars and building housing projects for those in poverty. But is it really because they believe in social justice, or is there another sinister reason as to why they are doing what they're doing? Now, Jung Sana is very ambitious. She actually has a secret past that she doesn't want anyone to know about. And she actually has a pretty long history with Kang Yo-han, which you will find out as you continue to watch the series. Now, I'm going to try to keep it to minor spoilers because I really want you to go in and really be shocked or surprised about things that happen. So I'll only give you really small spoilers that don't really affect the plot. Yeah. So you can think of Jung Sana as kind of like the enemy or rival to Kang Yo-han. She's the one that's always constantly trying to get in his way. Kang Yo-han knows that she's a threat and tries to kind of weave his way around her. But she is very persistent and may have a bit of a crush on him. So, you know, good for her, I guess. Kang Yo-han is a very dashing man. Then we have Kim Ga-eun, played by Jin Young. Some of you may know Jin Young if you follow K-pop. He is from GOT7. And Kim Ga-eun is like a rookie. He's kind of like an intern. This is his first, I guess, big appointment. He is appointed onto the live court show as one of Kang Yo-han's associate judges. So he is one of the judges that sits on to the side of Kang Yo-han and kind of just like provides some feedback, but Kang Yo-han is the one that ultimately makes all the decisions. Kim Ga-eun is there to kind of sit there and look pretty and help with research. But surprisingly, Kang Yo-han takes a shining to Kim Ga-eun. His appearance. Apparently, Kim Ga-eun has a striking resemblance to Kang Yo-han's older brother, like identical appearance. And so Kim Ga-eun is like, that's kind of weird. Did I get hired because I remind you of your brother? But also Kim Ga-eun is the type that's really about justice and righteousness, and he believes in fairness, and he's also been hurt by the system before because of the injustice that his own parents had received when he was younger. His parents had been conned of their money, and they ended up committing suicide. And so Kim Ga-eun is really touchy about that. But he believes in the justice system and wants to put criminals in their place. So he's really aspirational and a little naive at sometimes. He's also really by the book. And he also ends up butting heads with Kang Yo-han because Kang Yo-han is all about manipulation. He's about doing what he can as long as the consequences... doing what he can as long as he gets the results that he wants, no matter what the consequences are. So Kim Ga-eun doesn't really agree with that, but they still end up making an unlikely partnership with Kang Yo-han actually opening up to Kim Ga-eun and letting him kind of, affect him mentally. Like, he actually opens up to him when normally he's a really stoic person who not stoic, but like, he doesn't let anyone in, he's a really closed off man. So there's a lot of potential for bromance there, which I have a whole section I'm going to talk about. And then we have Yoon Soo-hyun, who is Kim Ga-eun's childhood friend. They've known each other since like high school. No, they've known each other since like elementary school, I believe. And she was one of his supporting pillars when his parents died. She was the one that stopped him from leading a life of crime. He used to get into a lot of fights when he was in school. He was like lashing out. He would get into brawls. Sort of a delinquent. He would go to the police station a lot of times, and Yoon Soo-hyun would always kind of be there to push him back onto the right path. Now, she is a police detective, and she is investigating Kang Yo-han because she is suspicious about how his brother had died in a fire 10 years ago. She's really suspicious about that. She thinks that Kang Yo-han might be hiding something. And so she's investigating Kang Yo-han and also telling Kim Ga-eun to stay away from Yo-han. But, of course, Ga-eun can't do that because, number one, Kang Yo-han is his boss, and number two, he's actually interested in what Yo-han has to say. So that's just a kind of like explanation as to a little more in-depth explanation as to everyone and how they interact with the plot. Now, I want to talk about the pros. There are so many pros I have with this show. I just loved it so much. I watched it in like a few days, and I'm still thinking about it after having finished it. So let me jump right into it. I have a list as always, so I don't forget anything. So number one, one of the things that I really, really liked about this show is that the MC, Kang Yo-han, is an anti-hero. I love that they didn't make him overly righteous, like all about justice. I like that he's kind of manipulative. He's not 100% innocent, He's known as the Devil Judge. That is his nickname to the public because of his harsh rulings. He rules with an iron fist. He doesn't get swayed by emotion. He is very deadly in the courtroom. So already he has a scary reputation amongst the public. And then also he's a vigilante during his off hours. So sometimes, again with the manipulation, sometimes when he wants to kind of scare the defendant a little bit, he'll go out of his way to kind of like chase them or like stalk them in his car just to kind of let them know that I know what you're up to, so you better watch your back. He also doesn't care about people who get hurt, at least initially. Like I said, as long as he gets the results he wants, he doesn't really care how many people get hurt in the process. It's just a game to him. So, for example, for people who had wronged him personally, he doesn't care if they die. Actually, he will personally chase them until they end up in a situation where they're caged and have no choice but to either turn themselves in or take their life. Yes, he's a bit ruthless. He doesn't kill anyone outright, but he pushes people to the brink, and so that is kind of like something that Kim Ga-eun really doesn't agree with, because he doesn't want to see people die, even criminals who he really hates. He wants them to be locked in jail or given like a sentence within the legal system. But Kang Yo-han believes that the justice system is rigged. It's rigged to be in the benefit of the rich and the powerful. Kang Yo-han believes that power supersedes justice, and so he needs power in order to bring these criminals to justice. He can't just rely on law to lock these criminals up. So yes, he's all about manipulation. Sometimes he even pays witnesses sometimes, which, there's an ethical aspect to it. But to him, he doesn't care about whether it's ethical or unethical, because at the end of the day, the criminal being tried, the defendant, has harmed so many people that he believes that the ends justify the means. He also has gathered people to work under him, and so he has different people in the police department. He has people in the legal department helping him out. He has people who work on the inner workings of like the recording station, and stuff like that. So he has a lot of people. He has a lot of eyes and ears in different places to help him get dirt on the criminals that he wants to try and convict. And like I said, he doesn't care about sacrifices until it comes to Kim Ga-eun. He ends up having a big soft spot to Kim Ga-eun, and he actually opens his heart up to him and wants Kim Ga-eun to trust him. And so as the show progresses and he gets closer with Ga-eun, he wants Ga-eun to believe him, to trust in him, to be on his side, and to believe in his cause. He's like, listen, the legal system is not working. That's why we have to take harsher measures in order to get the results that we want. Yes. Okay. Second pro that I have is that it's an interesting law drama plot. Yes. So usually I'm not really into law shows. I'm just not really into the courtroom style dramas where it's always like there's a criminal, the lawyers do some research, and then they try them. I'm usually not really into that, but I really like the way The Devil Judge handled this court drama, because it takes place in a dystopian setting. So right away we have people who are already really jaded about the legal system and the justice system, and then we introduce the use of social media through the DIKE app, the Dyke app, where all of these citizens become jurors and help determine whether the defendant is guilty or not guilty. So there's a lot more of audience participation compared to regular court dramas. And since it's a live broadcasted show, everyone can see what's happening in the courtroom. So it's a lot more transparent, supposedly. And the show really utilizes public opinion, you know? And I think it's really interesting because in a way, using the Dyke app desensitizes the jury process. It kind of makes everyone, into a judge, right? So no longer is just Johan or Ga-eun the ones judging this defendant. Now we have everyone in Korea using the app being judges, associate judges. And so it's kind of also scary. I think it's kind of like a commentary on how public opinion can be weaponized, whether it be for good or evil. Public opinion is scary. Depending on how it's used, you can get people to condemn someone before their trial. So that's what Kang Johan does. He starts by putting out footage and kind of leaking information to try to get the people revved up. And then during the actual live show, he presents all of it to the public and really gets the public pumped and angry and furious with the defendant, so that it's almost impossible for the defendant to really backtrack and try to come up with a not guilty stance. So I think it's interesting, like a little bit of a social commentary on how the public can be used and manipulated by people in power, whether or not they're being manipulated for the greater good or not. Still using the people's emotions, and it's just scary almost. I don't know if it would be possible or plausible or even ethical to have a live court show room in the real world for criminal cases. I know that we have law shows like Judge Judy and stuff like that, but those are civil court cases that are public, like, TV shows. And so they're kind of like celebrity judges. And Kang Johan is a celebrity judge because this is a TV show that's being broadcasted. But I don't know if we would be able to have something like that for criminal cases. I feel like there'd be a lot of ethical issues that come into play. What do you think? Do you think it'd be possible to have a live courtroom show that tries, like if the Supreme Court had a live courtroom show where they tried big landmark cases? I don't know. And that everyone, the public, can use an app to help be jurors and decide the fate of the defendant? I don't know. It's an interesting thought. I feel like that adds to the dystopian aspect because it feels like a big jump from what we already have. But I would like to know your thoughts. Do you think it'd be possible to have in the real world? Okay, now the third and biggest pro I had with this show. Now I have a long list. I have a long list of things for this topic. The bromance. There is so much bromance in this show. Oh my god. I went into this show thinking, wow, Kang Yohan, an anti-hero, love that for him. Wow, live courtroom show? Interesting concept. Wow, there's bromance in this? Sign me the F up. Wow, okay, so when I say bromance, I'm talking about Kang Yohan and Kim Ga-eun, of course. The judge, the Chief Justice, and his associate judge. So, I just think that they have an amazing dynamic. At first, they like butt heads because they have differing opinions, differing views. You know, Kang Yohan believes that power is more important than the legal system and justice, whereas Kim Ga-eun wants to go by the book and believes that you can't misuse power to get the results you want. But Kang Yohan actually starts to let his guard down around Ga-eun because Ga-eun proves to be someone who actually cares about Yohan's well-being. He's actually really worried about him. He genuinely wants to make sure Yohan doesn't go to a place that he can't return from. And Ga-eun actually put his life on the line early on in the show. So, minor spoiler. It was like in episode 3, I believe. Kang Yohan, so Kim Ga-eun was in Kang Yohan's office. He was actually, Kim Ga-eun was actually asked by his professor, who was a Chief Justice at the Supreme Court, to spy on Kang Yohan. Because his professor is actually really wary about Kang Yohan's practices. So Kim Ga-eun is put in as kind of like a spy. And so Kim Ga-eun is in Kang Yohan's office one night, and Kang Yohan walks in, and he's like, what are you doing in my office so late at night? And right before Kim Ga-eun could really explain himself, he hears like a beeping noise and realizes that there's a bomb inside the office. And so, without thinking about his own well-being, he jumps on top of Kang Yohan to protect him from the small explosion, the small blast. So, Ga-eun gets the majority of the injuries on his back. Now, Kang Yohan is shaken, first of all, because Kim Ga-eun barely knows him, and he already put his life on the line to protect him. So, right away, Yohan is like, what is up with this dude? Why would he protect me like that? And so, surprisingly, Kang Yohan actually brings Ga-eun back to his own mansion. Like, he doesn't take him to the hospital. He personally takes Ga-eun to his own mansion and personally treats his wounds. Okay? So first of all, Yohan, who is suspicious of everyone and doesn't trust anyone, brings Ga-eun to his own house where his niece lives, his own sanctuary. First of all, like, okay, that's already, he's putting a lot of trust in Ga-eun, because Ga-eun could easily snoop around his house and try to like bug things or, you know, find information or dirt about him. Yohan isn't really worried about that. All he's thinking about is gotta bring Ga-eun somewhere safe to treat his wounds, because we don't know if someone's gonna try to bomb us again. So he lets Ga-eun move in. Ga-eun stays there for a few days to recuperate, and then he's fully healed up. But guess what? He stays at the mansion. He doesn't go back home. He could have left after his wounds healed after about a week. Instead, he like low-key permanently moved in. He got a room in the house, and he starts cooking for the whole family. He cooks for Kang Yohan and his niece Elia. And he becomes like a fixture in their small little family. He gets Kang Yohan to actually eat food that isn't microwavable. And he gets Elia to open up. He gets Kang Yohan and his niece Elia to actually reconnect and talk it out with each other and hang out, because Kang Yohan and his niece actually aren't that close, because Elia is suspicious about her father's death, which is, you know, her and Kang Yohan are the only survivors of the fire that killed her parents, and so she's low-key suspicious of her uncle. But Yohan just wants to make sure that Elia is safe, so he's kind of overprotective of her. He doesn't let her leave the house. She had gotten disabled. Her legs were damaged during the commotion, and so she's in a wheelchair, so she can't really leave the house too often. and Kang Yohan is always monitoring her. So she's kind of lonely, and having Gaon there gives her a new friend to really hang out with. And then through Gaon, she gets to kind of open up with her uncle, and they become closer. So Gaon helps to bring the family members together, which I think is amazing, and he becomes a family member himself. Okay, some other things other romantic moments that were in the show. There was a dinner party that Yohan wanted to go to. And so he decided to take Gaon as his +1, and he even dressed Gaon himself. He's like, your suits are not good enough for this party we're going to. And so he actually dresses Gaon in his older brother's, his dead older brother's clothes. He personally puts the coat on Gaon, and he puts a nice golden watch on his wrist, and it's just really intimate, you know, like Yohan, who isn't really a touchy-feely person, like personally dressing Gaon, like, ooh, okay. I mean, you guys still aren't that close yet, but you're taking him as your date to a dinner party. And then at the dinner party, when Gaon got swarmed by all the older ladies who are like pinching his cheeks and thinking he's really cute and handsome, Yohan comes to the rescue to pull him away, and he calls him a baby deer. So Yohan has a little nickname for Gaon. He calls him a little fawn or a baby deer, which is true because Gaon has like big round eyes that are really naive and shiny, and then he gets really like wide-eyed when he's like nervous or confused or like out of his depth and like doesn't know what to do. And so Kang Yohan just, you know, I think he thinks he's adorable. He thinks he's kind of cute. He calls him a little baby deer. Okay. Now, what else? What other romantic moments? Well, Kang Yohan is always giving Gaon a second chance. Gaon has time and time again doubted Yohan's intentions. He's constantly confronted him about his motivations. He would always ask him, are you sure what you're doing is right? Or, I don't think this is ethical. Or, I don't know if you may or may not have hurt this person. And, you know, Yohan is actually disappointed, but he doesn't get mad and like toss Gaon out of his life. Because usually, if someone is against Yohan, he would cut them off and they would become his enemy. But in Gaon's case, he gives Gaon multiple chances to redeem himself. He doesn't kick Gaon out of the house. He still eats Gaon's cooking. They still banter and kid around about non-court things. And then he even actually wants Gaon to believe in him. His other workers, his other associates believe that he should cut Gaon loose because Gaon could be his weakness. But Yohan doesn't listen to their advice, despite it probably being good advice for him. He wants Gaon on his side. He actually, at one point, when Soo-hyun, Gaon's police friend, when she was investigating and accusing Yohan of murder, Kim Gaon actually, you know, confronted Yohan about it. And Yohan told him, he said, listen, you have to cut her out of your life, okay? She's not good for you. She won't be able to help you get the justice that you want for both your parents and for other people who have been hurt by criminals. And he gives him an ultimatum. He tells him, I'm giving you an ultimatum. You can either choose her or me. So, like, Yohan is kind of like that you know, like if you were thinking of this in like a rom-com situation or a love triangle situation, it's kind of like, you're gonna choose her or me, you know? That there's some tension in that statement, because like Soo-hyun is Kim Gaon's best friend. They've known each other for years. They both also kind of have a crush on each other. So for Gaon to choose between his like girlfriend, not girlfriend, or Kang Yohan, his boss, who is also his newfound family, like how is Gaon supposed to choose? But Kang Yohan thought that he was like actually really sure that Gon would choose him. Like he was so sure. He was like, you know that I'm better for you. He didn't say exactly like that, but that's pretty much what he meant. And then finally, for Bromance, I have a direct quote from the show, right? Okay, a direct quote. What better evidence than a direct quote? Listen, he literally says this when thinking about Gaon and Elia. He literally says, I don't care if humanity falls, as long as I have you two. Johan has never cared about anyone else besides Elia. No one. He doesn't even care about himself that much. But for him to say, I don't care about humanity as long as I have you two being Elia and Gaon, means that he's pretty much taking Gaon in as one of his own. Okay? That he has added this +1 as someone that he really, really cares about and can't see get hurt. Listen, the character development, okay? There's so much character development with Johan. He goes from being shut off and not letting anyone get close to being openly sad when Gaon ignores him. So, like, listen, if that's not bromance, I don't know what is, okay? So, I'm gonna say right here, if you want to just see a beautiful bromance, then The Devil Judge has got you, okay? It's amazing. And, yeah, they're just so good for each other. They're not toxic to each other. They actually make each other better, right? Gaon makes Johan more human. And Johan makes Gaon more awakened. Awakened, I guess you could say. He pulls the blindfolds off Gaon so that Gaon can realize how much the rich and the wealthy are taking advantage of the legal system, and that he has to take more proactive measures in order to bring criminals to justice. So yes, they are the perfect yin and yang to each other. Okay, now that I spent so much time talking about the pros, I have a few cons. Nothing too substantial, but kind of like things that I wished they would have changed in the story. Okay, so, con number 1. I felt like there was an unnecessary romantic subplot between Gaon and Soohyun, because I didn't really get romantic vibes between them. I just kind of saw them as really close friends who've known each other since elementary school. They kid around with each other like bros, and only like further in do they kind of like talk more about romance. But other than that, they always just seem to kid around with each other, and they just seem really comfortable, but not in love. And so I felt like adding in romance just for the sake of romance was kind of like, didn't need it. Not like I would have not included it. I feel like it just wasn't necessary, but like it was there, so like whatever. And then also, okay, minor spoiler alert. We do have a few unnecessary character deaths. Now, don't worry. I'm not gonna spoil who dies. None of the main characters die, okay? So don't worry. Johan and Gaon are okay. Okay? Don't worry, they're okay. But there were some like supporting characters who died, and I felt like there was no need to kill them off because it didn't really help to advance the plot. Things would have still ended up working out the way they did without these people dying. And so I felt like, did the show kill them off just to give a shock factor or to kind of squeeze some tears out of us? Because at that point, if you keep adding deaths, you become a little desensitized to it, because then you're like, well, I didn't know too much about them, and then you kill them off. I'm like, I'm sad, but I'm more like, was that necessary? They probably could have been used, the characters could have been used in a better way than to just kill them off because you didn't have anything else to write for them, you know? And then, this is actually the biggest thing that I wish they would have used, touched on more in the show. So as I mentioned, Kim Gaon looks exactly like Kang Johan's dead older brother. Exactly. So much so that when he was first brought to Kang Johan's mansion, Elia was mad because she's like, where did you find this knockoff who looks like my dead dad? This is really cruel of you, uncle. And even the housekeeper was mad too. She's thinking, who are you? You'll never replace our young master. So, you know, and Gaon's like, damn, why don't they like my face? I don't think I have an ugly face. But yeah, so since Gaon has the exact resemblance to Kang Yohan's older brother, I felt like the show could have maybe utilized his appearance more to maybe influence or sway Yohan's actions. Because except for the first moment when they met where Yohan paused for a little bit because Gaon looked like his brother, he never really brought it up again, and it never really affected him. Like, initially I thought that maybe he would open up to Gaon because he reminded him of his brother, but that's actually not true. Yohan just opened up to Gaon because of Gaon, not because he looks like his brother. But I feel like if they wanted to make Gaon more manipulative, they could have had Gaon maybe use his likeness to influence Yohan to do certain things, like to talk Yohan out of doing things, for example, if Yohan was going to do something dangerous. Or, you know, he could have like wiggled his way into the family by acting more like the older brother, and gaining people's trust that way. But I guess because Gaon is supposed to be a righteous person, he wouldn't do that. But I think it would have been interesting if he did, because in that case, I was wondering what was the point of making him look like Yohan's older brother, because they never really used it. I thought that the reason why they made him look like him was because they were going to have Gaon use his appearance to influence Yohan, but that ended up not happening. Gaon eventually just forgot that he looked like Kang Yohan's older brother and was just like, well, I'm part of the family now, and I'm gonna end up in a lot of romantic situations with you. Not awkward at all. Oh yeah, I just remembered one more thing about Bromance. Yes, okay, this is, okay. So, like I said, Kang Yohan isn't really like touchy really with people, but he does have an interest in the neck area. He likes to choke Gaon. Like when he's mad, he'll choke Gaon, and then when he's being comforting or being like vulnerable with Gaon, he'll caress the back of his neck or his nape in like a very intimate way. And I'm just like, the neck is a very sensitive area of the body, right? Like it's a very vulnerable place. So for Gaon to let Yohan touch his neck like that, and for Yohan to constantly reach out and touch Gaon in that way, it's a little sus, you know, a little sus. But I enjoyed it. It added like a tension to their relationship, but also it was, I think, a way to stabilize Yohan. Touching Gaon helped to stabilize him, and I think bring him back to reality. So, you know what, Gaon, keep letting Yohan touch your neck. Okay, so those were my thoughts on The Devil Judge. I hope I didn't spoil anything major. I don't think so. Just some minor spoilers. Because I really want you to check out the show. Please go watch it. Please, pretty please for me. Please watch it. The 16 episodes. It's not that long. If you like Bromance, there's Bromance. If you don't care about Bromance, that's okay, because it's a really interesting law plot with like you get to see how people abuse social media and abuse public opinion. If you like anti-heroes, then Kang Yohan is the perfect anti-hero. And don't worry, if you think he's a little scummy, he does redeem himself. So please watch it. I hope you watch it. I will link information about the show in the description. I will link the trailer as well as a link to where you can watch it. I think you could also watch it on Netflix, but I'll link the Viki link. And other than that, thank you for listening to me vent about why this show has the ultimate bromance. Okay, guys, well, that's all I have for today. Thank you for listening. Please go watch The Devil Judge, please. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!